Okay, so let's start by singing the invocation prayers. Krishna, 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 Hey. Krishna, 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 Hey. Krishna, 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 Rakshamam. Krishna, 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 Pahimam. Rama Raghava, Rama Raghava, Rama Raghava, Rakshamam. Krishna Keshava, Krishna Keshava, Krishna Keshava, Pahimam. So Krishna book chapter 36. Kamsa sends Akrura for Krishna. And as I said, we're about 3/4 of the way through this chapter now. I'll begin by reading. Wrestling matches are still enjoyed by people in northern India, and it appears from the statements of Srimad Bhagavatam that 5,000 years ago, wrestling match was also popular. Kamsa planned to arrange such a wrestling competition and to invite people to visit. He also told the trainers of the elephants, be sure to bring the elephant named Kuvalyapida, and keep him at the gate of the wrestling arena. Try to capture Krishna and Balaram on their arrival and have the elephant kill them. I'll just continue reading. Kamsa also advised his friends to arrange to worship Lord Shiva by offering animal sacrifices and performing the sacrifice called Dhanu Yagna, and the sacrifice performed on the 14th day of the moon known as Chaturdashi. This date falls 3 days after Ekadashi, and it is set aside for the worship of Lord Shiva. One of the plenary portions of Lord Shiva is called Kala Bhairav. This form of Lord Shiva is worshipped by demons who offer animals killed before him. The process is still current in India in a place called Vaidyanath Dham, where demons offer animal sacrifices to the deity of Kala Bhairav. Kamsa belonged to this demoniac group. He was also an expert diplomat, and so he quickly arranged for his demon friends to try to kill Krishna and Balaram. Okay. So any reflections from this first paragraph with regards to the wrestling match and the trained elephants? So actually in our Vedas, there are many different arts that are detailed in the Vedangas. We have the Vedas, which are the primary scriptures, and then there's also what's called the Vedangas, which are kind of extensions of the Vedas. They cover other arts. So these are some of the other arts which are mentioned there in the Vedas. So one of them is wrestling. One of them is training animals or elephants, horses, and other such animals in war. Then you have Dhanurved, which is the art of weaponry. Yeah. So it seems that Kamsa, he was trained in these different arts, and he had his people were trained in different arts as well, based on the Vedic teachings. But of course, he's using them for ill motives, right? Kamsa. So you can see that if you give something good to someone who is evil-minded, that good thing becomes even more it can even that good thing becomes very dangerous. Yeah. So it said, like, if you give a snake, in Bengal they have a saying that if you give a snake milk, then it becomes more poisonous, right? So milk is a very pure product. It's considered very pure. As far as food is concerned, then milk products are considered the purest, right? The child from the womb grows so much because of mother's milk, isn't it? Human child is given the mother's breast milk, it grows so much, isn't it? Just on milk alone, the child develops so quickly, just on milk, nothing else. Then other food are introduced at a certain stage, I think it's 4 or 5 months, then 5 or 6 months the child starts having food. But milk alone is so potent on its own. But when that milk is given to a snake, then the snake becomes very poisonous. Yeah. So all of these people may ask, why is there evil in the world? Why is there evil powers? Why is there what was the need for Krishna to create wrestling or war or what was the need for Krishna to create these elephants who were trained to attack? People ask such questions, right? You ever heard anyone ask these kind of questions before? Or have you ever asked this sort of question before?
Yeah, I mean, these are common questions. I mean, if you take something which was intended for a purpose and then is taken out of context or without the individual qualified to use or take or take a weapon, even today, right? So if you use technology in the wrong way, then it could be used for good or bad. So I think even then, the technology of the time, be it using animals for warfare or archery or wrestling, I mean, these are all skills that can be tuned for good or bad. And it's the context and the person's intent, and it's on the person's consciousness, which determines the outcome of those tools. And the same goes for technology now. Those are the same tools that if you have a Kamsa element in you, and you use elements of technology or the environment that we are presented with in the wrong way, it can cause a lot of havoc to yourself or to other individuals.
Yeah, you made some good points, Alex. So an object in itself isn't bad. It's the hands who the object is in that can determine whether it's used rightly or wrongly. Yeah. So in one sense, there's nothing wrong in this material world, the setup of the material world. If the people are Krishna conscious, the world is a happy place. We can have our cities, we can have our cars, we can have our televisions and everything else. There's nothing wrong with any of these things as such in themselves. But what they're used for, what they used to promote, what they used to, the kind of culture that they're creating. That's because of the hands of the people who are in the power.
Mm-hmm.
That's what's causing the negativity in the world. Otherwise, Krishna had all of these facilities in Dwarka, which we'll read about later on. And everybody was happy and peaceful, Even Hastinapur, the name Hastinapur, if anyone knows, like, the meaning of this place, Hasti means elephant, Hastinapur was a famous place because of they had so many trained elephants, more than anywhere else. The place was so well protected, Hastinapur. So when Hastinapur is in the hands of Yudhishthira Maharaj, then it brings about the greatest good. But when it's in the hands of Dhritarashtra or Duryodhana, then it's the greatest danger. Yeah. Same place, same facilities, but it just depends whose hands it's in. So we can see the mentality of Kamsa, who has all these facilities at his disposal. In the next paragraph, yeah, and he's observing particular fast and making offerings to Lord Shiva. He's making animal sacrifice offerings, and his goal is to destroy Krishna and Balaram. Can you imagine? Do you think Lord Shiva would be pleased? Not at all. Lord Shiva is a great devotee of Krishna. He's Dharmapalana. He's a protector of the holy Dham. When you go to any of the Vishnu Dhams, you have to get the blessings of Lord Shiva first to get in. Yeah. So that same Lord Shiva, he's being worshipped in this form of Kal Bhairav, which is a very ferocious form, destructive form, because of course Lord Shiva has the seva, the service to Krishna, as the destroyer. So he has that mood, as well. One of his features is that of a destroyer. And so Kamsa is approaching him to destroy Krishna. So again, ill motive, It was interesting. We were just reading the Mahatmya for the recent Ekadashi. It was Ekadashi on Saturday, wasn't it? Just gone. Ekadashi was on Saturday. Did anyone read the Mahima for the Ekadashi? It was said in there that this Ekadashi destroys the it destroys the sin, or it destroys the offenses that one might commit with regard to if you're a Vaishnava, if you offend the Shaivites, the followers of Lord Shiva, that's an offense, And it's also vice versa, of course. If the Shaivites, they offend the Vaishnavas, that's an equal offense. Equal both ways. So if we commit such offenses, then we can observe these Ekadashis to be freed from these offenses. So whether one is a follower of Lord Vishnu, whether one is a follower of Lord Shiva, we shouldn't have that mentality that, this person is lower or higher. We offer all respects to everyone. Now, does anyone want to raise any comments or questions here, or we can move on? Okay. He then called for Akrura, one of the descendants in the family of Yadu, in which Krishna was born as the son of Vasudeva. When Akrura came to see Kamsa, Kamsa very politely shook hands with him and said, "My dear Akrura, actually I have no better friend than you in the Bhoja and Yadu dynasties. You are the most magnificent person. So as a friend, I am begging charity from you. Actually, I have taken shelter of you, exactly as King Indra takes shelter of Lord Vishnu. I request you to go immediately to Vrindavan and find the two boys named Krishna and Balaram. They are the sons of Nanda Maharaj. Take this nice chariot, especially prepared for the boys, and bring them here immediately. This is my request to you. Now my plan is to kill these two boys. As soon as they come in the gate, there will be a giant elephant named Kuvalyapida waiting, and possibly he will be able to kill them. But if somehow or other they escape, they will next meet the wrestlers and will be killed by them. That is my plan. And after killing these two boys, I shall kill Vasudev and Nanda, who are supporters of the Vrishni and Bhoja dynasties. I shall also kill my father Ugrasena and his brother Devaka, because they are actually my enemies and are hindrances to my diplomacy and politics. Thus I shall get rid of all my enemies. Jarasandh is my father-in-law, and I have a great monkey friend named Dvivida. With their help, it will be easy to kill all the kings on the surface of the earth who support the demigods. This is my plan. In this way, I shall be freed from all opposition, and it will be very pleasant to rule the world without obstruction. You may know also that Sambar, Narakashura, and Banashura are my intimate friends, and when I begin this war against the kings who support the demigods, they will help me considerably. Surely I shall be rid of all my enemies. Please go immediately to Vrindavan and encourage the boys to come here to see the beauty of Mathura and take pleasure in the wrestling competition. So here, King Kamsa is revealing his plan to Akrura, isn't it? So he has hatched this plan because of the conversations he's had with whom, which we read about last week. Who's incited Kamsa to make these plans?
Narad Muni.
Yeah, that's right. Hare Krishna Panchali. Thanks for joining.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna Sakyaras Prabhu. Yes, Narad Muni. Narad Muni has incited King Kamsa to go after Krishna. He's revealed to him that Krishna is going to be the cause of his death. And therefore, Kamsa still is trying his level best to defeat Krishna by making this plan to invite Krishna to be killed by the Kuvalyapida elephant. And if not by him, then the wrestlers of this competition he's arranging. So you can see how those are politically minded. They have different motives for doing things, which are not clear, which they don't make clear. They're duplicitous, right? So on one hand, so to his citizens, it looks like he's putting on a nice, entertaining wrestling match. Everyone can come and watch and have fun. But on the other hand, he's got his own ill motives that he wants to kill Krishna and Balaram. And then he's got all these plans of conquering the world after that. Yeah. So from the point of view of someone who's maybe living in Mathura, a Mathura Vasi, they're saying like, Kamsa, oh, how nice a king, he's arranging all these facilities for us, free entertainment and so on. And then we'll go and conquer the world and our kingdom will be so powerful. That's what they see on the surface of things. But actually, his intentions are very sinister, isn't it? The underlying intention is very sinister. Hare Krishna Sakiras Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. So I
Thanks
am
for joining us.
I've been very busy here with we just done advertisements. I've had loads of emails from schools, so I'm like I'm one after another is coming, so I have to send off the emails, and then
Yeah.
I completely lost track of time.
Oh, okay. We're just coming to end of the Kamsa sends Akrura for Krishna chapter.
Yeah.
Okay. So also in this paragraph, different dynasties have been mentioned, different monarchies, lines of kings. Yeah. So one of them is the Yadu dynasty. One of them is Rishni. One of them is Bhoja. Another one which is not mentioned here is also the Andaka dynasty. These were kind of the big kingdoms that were there at the time, from in the line of these kings. In the 9th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam, it's detailed like the list of the dynasties, and they come from way back. There was a king Yadu who's way back, and the dynasty is still remembered under his name. Similarly with Vrishni and Bhoja, there were kings from previous generations that they're still remembered in those times. So there were all they all like cooperated with each other until like a demon like Kamsa is born in one of the families, and now he's just trying to wipe out all the it's like they've been friends for generations and generations and generations going back to their great grandfathers. And, like one bad guy comes along and tries to throw all that out the window. This is what King Kamsa's motivation is. Yeah. Along with his father-in-law, Jarasan, who we'll learn more about, and Dvivida. Okay. So, any comments and questions before we complete this chapter in the next paragraph?
There were lots of other dynasties as well that were non-Aryans at the time, like the Abiras and Sumbas and Yavana, Malechas, Kashadaya, Pulinda, Pulkashas, and they were also outside of the Aryan civilization, and they were always very belligerent towards the higher civilization. They were very envious towards them. Kalayavana, he attacked Mathura. He was a Yavana from Persia.
Yeah.
And Yavana races, even back then, they were very hateful towards the Aryan races. I thought I'd throw it in for good measure.
Yeah, no, nice contribution. Thank you, Prabhu. Yeah, so we see even these cultures which are around today, Persian culture, the Arabic culture, the Abrahamic cultures, the Egyptian culture. These are the Greek culture. These are all, even the Bavarian culture, like that's sort of the Germanic culture, isn't it? Also around for many from thousands of years.
Celtic cultures was there as well.
Yeah, these are all very ancient cultures, but because there were powerful kings or emperors, they would all be subordinate to the Aryan culture. See, perhaps a similar way of looking at it today is how America's kind of got a hold of most of the world. See, at least that's how it's presented to us. So like that, you see, the Vedic culture was the prominent culture, the Aryan culture, was a prominent culture, but there were other cultures there. And when the Aryans were in power, the others would be, kept at bay. But Kamsa's plan here is to bring up those sub-religious cultures. Yeah. Thanks, Prabhu. So we'll continue reading to the last paragraph now. After hearing this plan of Kamsa's, Akrura replied, "My dear king, your plan is very excellently made to counteract the hindrances to your diplomatic activities, but you should maintain equilibrium, for the result of your activities may be fruitful or may not be fruitful. After all, man proposes, God disposes. We may make very great plans, but unless they are sanctioned by the supreme authority, they will fail. Everyone in this material world knows that the supernatural power is the ultimate disposer of everything. One may make a very great plan with his fertile brain, but he must know that he will be subjected to the fruits, misery and happiness. But I have nothing to say against your proposal. As a friend, I shall carry out your order and bring Krishna and Balaram here as you desire." After instructing his friends in various ways, Kamsa retired and Akrura went back to his home. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purport of the 36th chapter of Krishna. Kamsa sends Akrura for Krishna. Okay. So let's discuss this paragraph together. Sakiras, Prabhu, are you with us now? You found where we are? Great. Okay. Please, could you share something from this paragraph?
Well, obviously, Akrura is very intricately involved in Krishna leaving Vrindavan. That's the obvious thing.
Mm-hmm.
And coincidentally, Akrura is related to Krishna as well. And coincidentally, Akrura is world famous for being the perfection of the prayer, Vandanam, offering prayers to Krishna.
Yeah.
So the mystical experience that Akrura had on his way to Mathura from Vrindavan, where he had the vision of the Mahavishnu and the Kinnaras and the Gandharvas and the Vidyadharas, all offering prayers to Mahavishnu at the lake when he went to look for Krishna and Balaram. So it's Akrura is very, very intimately involved in no ordinary in other words, no ordinary human being can take Krishna from Vrindavan. This is the point.
Yeah. So maybe Kamsa, he doesn't know that Akrura he's actually such a great devotee of Krishna, huh? Do you think that's the case?
Definitely.
Yeah.
He couldn't offer those prayers. Those prayers that Akrura offered are well, he's famous for being one of the perfections of the Nav Bhakti process. So,
Yeah.
Vandanam.
Later, Prabhupada comments here in Krishna book, doesn't he, about how one should enter Vrindavan in the mood of Akrura. That's the right way to enter into Vrindavan.
Yeah, yeah.
Mm.
He rolled in the dust. He rolled in the dust.
So perhaps Kamsa, he doesn't know this about Akrura. So it may seem like, Kamsa has got his secret agenda, his his ulterior motives, but Akrura also has an ulterior motive, right? So they both have a diplomatic kind of stance in this pastime. But Akrura's diplomatic motive is different, isn't it? He's actually a devotee in disguise. He's a secret agent.
Yeah, but the gopis didn't like him.
No. But here it's like he at heart, he really wants to go and see Krishna and bring Krishna, and he wants Krishna to defeat Kamsa. And because Kamsa is treating him like a friend, he's like, yes, my dear friend, I'll bring Krishna here. As you say, it's a great plan you've got here.
Yeah, yeah. What he's really saying, because many times we'll say things and it's coded. We don't mean what we say. Many times. And the worst form of that is sarcasm, of course. But the Akrura, what he was really saying to Kamsa is, yes, I will bring your death here. No problem.
Yeah. Anything else? Anyone like to comment on this reading? A lot of secret agents in the room we can't see.
Sorry,
Any
Prabhuji,
questions?
my health is not perfect, so I won't be on video today. Apologies.
All right. I'm just joking. Okay, so let's move on. Would anyone like to read next? We're going to be on chapter 37 now. Okay, so this is, I'll read this one then. So chapter 37, killing the Keshi demon and Vyomasura. After being instructed by Kamsa, the demon Keshi assumed the form of a terrible horse. He entered the arena of Vrindavan with the speed of the mind, and his great mane flying, and his hooves digging up the earth. He began to whinny and terrify the whole forest. Krishna saw that the demon was terrifying all the residents of Vrindavan, and with his whining and his tail wheeling in the sky like a big cloud, Krishna could understand that the horse was challenging him to fight. The Lord accepted his challenge and stood before the Keshi demon, calling him to fight. The horse then ran towards Krishna, making a horrible sound, like a roaring lion, his jaws spread wide open, as if to swallow the whole sky. Keshi rushed toward the Lord with great speed and tried to trample him with his legs, which were strong, forceful, and hard as stone. Krishna, however, immediately caught hold of his legs and thus baffled him. Krishna was somewhat angry, and thus he began to whirl the horse around. After a few rounds, he contemptuously threw him in 100 yards away, just as Garuda throws a big snake. Thrown by Krishna, the horse immediately passed out, but after a little while he regained consciousness, and with great anger and force again rushed towards Krishna with his mouth open. As soon as Keshi reached him, Krishna pushed his left arm within the horse's mouth, and it looked as though a big snake had entered a hole in the field. The horse felt great pain because Krishna's arm felt to him like a hot iron rod. Immediately his teeth fell out. Krishna's arm within the mouth of the horse at once began to expand, and Keshi's throat choked up. As the great horse suffocated, perspiration appeared on his body, and he threw his legs hither and thither. As his last breath came, his eyeballs bulged in their sockets, and he passed stool and urine simultaneously. Thus the vital force of his life expired. When the horse was dead, his mouth became loose, and Krishna could extract his arm without difficulty. He did not feel any surprise that the Keshi demon was killed so easily, but the demigods in the sky were amazed, and out of their great appreciation they offered Krishna greetings by showering flowers. Okay.
So in this chapter, I noticed that even Krishna, he does a few rounds as well.
It's interesting how Krishna defeats different demons, isn't it? The ways in which he overpowers them all, right? Because it's known, like if you want to control a bull, you have to control a bull through the nose. You know, they have a weakness. Every animal has a weakness. The weakness of the bull is the nostrils, which is why you see often with bulls with rings in their nose, isn't it, or cows? Because then it's easier to move them around, to maneuver them. Yeah. Here, in the form of a horse, this Keshi demons come, and it's known that you can control a horse by the mouth, which is why the horses there, you see show horses or race horses, they're always secured by the mouth, isn't it? Yeah.
Bridle.
Is that the name? Bridle?
Yeah, the bridle. It pulls to the left and right.
Yeah. Okay. So how did Krishna, open question to everyone who's been following, how did Krishna defeat the Keshi demon? Who knows the answer?
He put his hand in his mouth and swallowed them around and threw him.
Yeah. 5 samosas to Shashi Mataji.
Yum, yum.
Krishna also proved that he can even appear as an incarnation of a giant gobstopper.
That's right. Keshavadrita.
Gobstopper Rupa Jai Jagadish.
So what does the name Keshava mean?
One who has beautiful hair.
Yeah. Also means the killer of the Keshi demon. So this particular demon is remembered in that song also. Yeah. Anyone else? Any comments or Sakiras Prabhu? Would you like to add something more?
Well,
We could move on.
Well, Krishna is a brilliant mover. He's not only a fabulous musician, and obviously he's very creative. He creates everything, but he's a great mover. And several times Krishna showed how beautiful a mover he is. It says here he moved dexterously around. And with the Kavalayapida, he also moved between his legs of the elephant. And
Wow.
Krishna is a very expert dresser. He's called Suvas. Suvas means he's always dressed as if he's like an actor going on the stage. So, you know, sometimes people, they'll go out at night and they'll put on their best clothes, best jewelry, the best, you know what I mean? They'll doll themselves up and look really nice, you know. We got in my family, we used to call it dolled up. And but Krishna is always dolled up. You know, he's always very, very perfectly dressed. And you know, he likes things just right. He always looks, you know, in every how do you call it, every sort of you know, camera film, you've got the different slide. It's like every slide, he always looks perfect. You know, and just right, you know, and this is, you know, everything is choreographed by Yogamaya so that he looks perfect and he moves perfectly. And you know, this is why you know, when we see Krishna, if we see Krishna and we're not pure in heart, we can only become envious of him, only. Even the women may be attracted to Krishna, but ultimately they may become envious of Krishna because he's outdoing them as well. So we have to become very subservient to Krishna and, you know, to tolerate his perfection and his more perfect and most perfect appearances. I just saw dexterous there, so I thought I'd just throw that out.
Really nice that you mentioned that. Thanks, Prabhu. Really something to meditate on. Can I share something? I was just had a realization this morning when I was looking at the third canto of the Bhagavatam.
Yeah.
On the front cover, it's got a Krishna Kaliya picture, Krishna dancing on Kaliya. And I was chanting japa, and I just happened to have this book in front of me, and I was just chanting, and it just kind of came to me, you know, that how Krishna is a great mover, and he looks really, same thing what you were saying. When Krishna is dancing on the Kaliya Nag, on the serpent, and there's all these different hoods, and they're all slippery. You know, nobody can do that. Who can dance on a slippery surface and pull it off? And the surfaces are all moving, all the hoods are moving. And Krishna is like not at all
They were
phased.
trying to bite him as well.
And they were trying to bite him. They had fire, poisonous teeth. You know, it's like an impossible situation. And everybody's watching. All the Brajavasis that love Krishna, they're all watching. And Krishna is putting on a great show for them. Yeah, the greatest show on earth.
Yeah.
And in the spiritual world.
It's also said that when Bhima and Duryodhana, when they visited, and Jarasandha also, when they visited Jarasandha as disguised as Brahmins and begged charity from him, and the charity was to have a fight with Bhima, it said that when they were fighting with the Gadas, their movements were very dexterous and very beautifully, they were dancing, they were fighting, but it appeared that they were dancing. So, you know, this kind of beautiful culture is there in the Vedic culture. Even you're fighting, you know, you appear like you're dancing, and after you've had a dance, you can invite your enemy to come for lunch, for a dinner in the evening. It's unheard of, but it's there because the enviousness was controlled. Now in Kali Yuga, envy has gone out of control. It's out of the enviousness. People are envious of themselves. They become envious of themselves so that they want to kill themselves. They want to destroy the fact that they're eternal. So they create philosophies and ideas that there's no soul, and that we when we're dead, they want to kill themselves even with their envious nature. People are so envious.
Yeah, this is what Kaliya personified envy of Krishna, isn't it? Envy, yeah. Yes, I was just going to share, like, I was looking at this picture when I was chanting. I was thinking, how did Krishna do it? You know, how did he dance so graciously on the heads of Kaliya? And I just had this realization how Krishna is also in the heart of Kaliya. Krishna also knows the past, the present, and the future. And so he knew everything that Kaliya was going to do, isn't it? He knew, not just like externally, he knew, he could see Kaliya's movements, you know. Krishna's got like razor sharp vision. He can see everything as it happens all over, all around, you know. But also within his heart, Krishna could see within Kaliya's heart that he's thinking, okay, the next move is going to be here. And also Krishna knows the past, the present, and the future. So it just kind of occurred to me, I just wanted to share that in all these different ways, Krishna is indefeatable. Yeah. Okay. Let's continue reading on. Does anyone else want to read a little bit? Or should I continue? Oh, we're actually at 9 o'clock now, aren't we? Wow, that's gone quick. Just noticed. So we're going to have to end for this evening. So Srila Prabhupada ki
Right.
Jai.